Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Impact review. Just want to say this early. I wish to apologize I couldn't do my Raw. Look, the weather's been out of control. It's in New York, it turns cold, it gets warm, it turns cold, it gets rainy. Next to having bad allergy problems, I get a lot of pain in my back and leg because of my injury. I mean, I'm sorry, I just do. So I can't really help when this gets like this. I can't do my reviews. I just gotta rest. And even though I did see Raw, I'm not gonna do a review on it because it just hurt too much. So I just wish to apologize that you couldn't see my content. And this is gonna happen periodically. I just can't always put out content all the time like this. So let's get on to the review. Look, the show wasn't bad, but it felt like they were trying to introduce a lot of stuff and tried to clean up some mistakes they did, but they didn't do that great. First thing I'm going to say, that was that they could not clean up this mistake. They haven't done it yet. But if it's leading where I believe it's leading, I don't mind it. Start with Kenny King. Kenny King was brought in. Look, I know to a certain point the WWE is racist. We know this. Vince is racist. But not all promotions are racist. We know this. So TNA doesn't have too bad of a problem promoting their African American talent. They don't always do it great, but they do a decent job of showing that they're good. They give them a chance. So when you look at Kenny King, he wasn't promoted very well when he came from ROH when the first time around. He sucked. I'm sorry, he did. So when they let him go away and come back, they were doing some very interesting vignettes with him. The king of the night, Kenny King, having some honeys under his arm, drinking probably some strong vodka and tequila, partying with his buddies over in Las Vegas, Nevada. Here's the problem. He was brought back, no new ring attire. Let him dress in his regular clothes that are nice, and then don't give him something good to go with it. I mean, he's gotten undressed in the ring, for goodness sake. TNA, give him some better clothes. Worse yet, where the fuck are the honeys? This man is supposed to be a player, a king of the night. You don't give someone a title like that unless you give him something to work with. He needs women with him. Like I said before, go to the crowds at wherever venue you're at. Look for two damn good looking women. Say, look, we need 2 extras on our show. You'll get some FaceTime on television. Every place they go, including Orlando, Florida, has got to have a few women that'll say, oh, you want us on TV? Hell yeah, we'll be on TV. They'll do it. Some of them will even do it for fucking free, TNA. And this is why I'm taking precedent, a mistake they haven't cleaned up. But what happened during the night gives me possibly hope. Kenny King versus Bobby Lashley. You could say Kenny King is going to get slaughtered by Bobby Lashley. They need to do something with him. Well, let's be honest. They're not showing much of Bobby. I don't know if Bobby's a part-time player anyway. He might not be. But the point is, Bobby Lashley is an old WWE champion and a TNA champion, I think, at one point. I don't know which one. Maybe the television champion or the TNA World Championship. Sorry, I said W. But the point you're getting is that he could give a Kenny King a good rub, which he did, because Kenny King had a countout loss. Doesn't mean Kenny King tapped or was pinned. So there's 2 good things here. He got a rub from a former WWE guy, an MMA guy, a TNA guy, and then on top of that, he could be having a feud with this guy. Now maybe someone in the back realized, you know what? MVP isn't the right person for him. Let's give him somebody who isn't in the main event, that essentially isn't busy with other shit. That's why he's stuck in with Lashley. Maybe they may even have a match at Sacrifice. I wouldn't mind that, and something beyond that. I'm hoping they'll do that. Because when they cut it off between MVP and Kenny King was stupid. So let's move on to Samuel Shaw's segment. Oh man. let's be honest here. Seeing Mr. Anderson go over to Samuel Shaw's home with his mom, she looks like a woman you want to screw. She looks like someone who thinks, oh, if the plumber comes over, I'm going to give him some. I'm not trying to be nasty, ladies. I'm not trying to be graphic. But that's the kind of presenting they do. Like, I can't remember what it was. With Dreyfus in The Graduate. Mrs. Robinson, I think. That's how it used to be. I was very young. I wasn't even born when it happened. But I have seen some of The Graduate. That kind of makes you think of a graduate type of woman who would be willing to let a young man have some sweet taste of an experienced woman. That's the kind of look she gave. Seeing the basement with bunk beds saying Shaw's room, Samuel's room, was kind of silly. But it does paint a very disturbed character. The question for me is this, ladies and gentlemen. It's something to see. I'm glad to see it. But here's the problem. You need to now promote it in a feud that gets more time. We have had a decent feud between these two, but the point is that it doesn't work right when there's not enough of the feud. Last week, seeing Miss Anderson try to put him into a paddy wagon, and then he runs off, instead of seeing Anderson right after him and then Shaw jump into a car and drives away, he just lets him go. That really leaves a very nasty loose end. So this is nice to see. And Mr. Anderson not coming up from the basement was good, but still, we need more. I want to see more of this feud on TNA. One backstage segment, and then one more part of their feud. That's what I want. Now, the Wolves segment. It was a good segment, but it's a little too late. I'm sorry. I understand they're doing it now for Sacrifice, and we already know the Wolves are going to get the championship titles to Sacrifice. I wish to say this, if they don't get it, and they allow Bromance to retain, was the most stupidest thing they could have done. They should let the Wolves go right now and let them go back to ROH. I'm saying this because the Wolves have had no promotion, they had no opportunities, nothing. Supposedly they're getting a pay-per-view win here. If they don't get one, this was stupid. And they should just leave. Because TNA doesn't know what to do with them if they don't win. I'm saying this honestly. But the video package was very strong and very potent. But for me, probably the problem I'm having is that... sorry, my leg still hurts. The problem I see is this for the Wolves. They have had no real strong promotion. They've had no real strong feuds. Bromance and them have barely been seen. And this is the problem. Yeah, you get my point. Now, let's move on to something interesting here. James Storm and Robert Roode versus Gunner and Bully Ray. I was hoping they would give more heat towards Gunner. Well, see it like this. The reason I'm watching this is Storm and Roode should have got more heat. Gunner and Bully Ray should have helped them to get more heat. Gunner particularly should have given them more heat. The match wasn't bad though. Don't get me wrong. The faces look good in the beginning to the middle, and the heels won in the end. But a lot of people believe that Beer Money is going to be possibly coming back. They really need to come back because we have nothing in the tag teams. I know these are the only two heels that give off something very strong currently in the divisions. But the problem is, to strengthen your division, you need tag teams. We don't have any. So you got to do something with Beer Money. You got to bring them back. But I didn't see anything happening here to bring them back. Nothing. Now maybe we'll see a segment at Sacrifice will actually solidify them to actually want to come back together by the next Impact. That's a possibility. But by this match, even though it wasn't too bad, I don't see it. So that's what I'm hoping personally. If they build enough of the tag teams back up, you can easily split people off in the middle of tag teams to do something else. We need more. So, Austin Aries versus MVP. It was a good match. But since this was so abrupt that they dropped Kenny King for an Austin Aries. The problem I see is, what next? I mean, I like the match. Austin Aries and MVP have some pretty good chemistry together. But now here's the problem. What is next? Who is MVP going to face now? Will anything happen with Austin Aries after this? Now that he's supposedly had to rub with the director of operations. What now? I just don't see it. I don't see the direction they're going with for either of these guys. So, let's move on to, let's say it like this. Brittany, right now, is a question mark. They said that she has a concussion, which I hope she doesn't really have one, but if she does, that takes her right out of the picture 100%, and that's bad. She just started, and she gets a concussion, which is not good. Oh, and sorry for the noise, ladies and gentlemen. It is a very noisy area in my building. But if she truly has a concussion, that's a waste. Such a loss. Because the way they were structuring how Madison Rayne and her were interacting, two things came to mind. One, Brittany was going to go with the beautiful people and become an early Madison Rayne. Become a lackey. Two, Madison Rayne and Brittany were going to have a very weird lesbian type of possible angle like Mickie Jane and Trish Stratus. Now, I wouldn't have been 100% against this. It worked for Mickie Jane. Mickie Jane got very well over dealing with a Trish Stratus, wanted to squeeze her boobs, squeeze her ass, and kiss the hell out of her. So that's what I was hoping for. But if she actually is hurt, that basically harpoons all of it. That's the end of it. Until at least she recovers. So let's just hope she's not hurt, please. Please don't be hurt. Now the match. Beautiful People versus Madison Rayne and Gail Kim. Now the video package they did wasn't that bad, but in the end, I wasn't 100% interested. Particularly I wasn't 100% interested seeing that the majority of women that they got in the division was there. The only one that was missing was ODB and Christy Hemme, taking out of the equation of Brittany. It wasn't 100% a bad match. It wasn't. Angelina Love wins, which kind of sets up for sacrifice, which is understandable. Last week, Madison Rayne won. Now it had to be Angelina Love. Now you got to question who's going to win. But in the end, the problem for me is there's just not enough women. Until I saw the segment before the Magnus and Abyss feud. In other words, match. You know what I mean. The Mike Knox segment. Thank you. Thank you, TNA. Finally, they figured out they need to have more women in the division. I was wondering where we're going with this Mike Knox segment. Now, maybe it's a last minute thing, or they actually wrote this into the storyline here. I don't personally fucking care. The woman that Mike Knox knows in this series he's been doing, at the end, is throwing around like what they do in Hawaii with flaming ropes of fire. She's a good looking woman. She has great cleavage. She's a little choppy talking. We know this. But either she's never been in prime time, she's probably from the independents. I've never seen her. You guys tell me below who she is. I don't recognize her. But the point is, she simply says, I'm not letting you go again. Follow your dream. I'm going to follow it with you. I'm going to TNA. We got a female manager in our hands, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, TNA. Does this mean we're going to get vignettes from these people? I hope so. TNA, you've done a good thing. Bring this woman in. Let her stay with Mike Knox for a while. And then while doing this, maybe she'll get into the Knockouts division. Maybe then you break these two off and let her be solo. This is what I'm hoping for. We're going to have, if Brittany isn't badly hurt, Brittany, and now this woman. Hopefully Terrence Terrell will come back. If she does not come back, take her off of the TNA roster. But let's hope this is it. Now let's see. The Sonata segment was good. I enjoyed it. But I didn't see anything from Tigra Uno. Please tell me below if you saw some, because I didn't. They're really pushing Sonata, so it's good to see this. So it looks like the rubber match will be at Sacrifice. I have no problem with the best of 3 series happening at Sacrifice. That's what it should be anyway. But my question is, are they really promoting Tigre Uno to finally, after a certain amount of time, drop the TNA X Division Championship and then move on to the main event? It would be great for them to bring back the world title, the TV title. Bring back the fucking TV title, stick it on the Sonata. I would love to see that. Please, TNA. Now, am I forgetting anything? Oh yes. The Rockstar Spud and, I don't know why I forgot this, Rockstar Spud and Angle match. I love Rockstar Spud. He's just epic. The only thing he didn't do is march down to the ring, pulling on his bow tie. I just love that shit. It's so funny. He got a good rub from Angle. I know he lost the match, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be honest. This is a Rockstar Spud. He came in British boot camp. He's more of a comedic sidekick than anything else right now. He could progress later, but for now he's a sidekick. He wasn't expected to win. He wasn't expected to do a great showing. He was supposed to be comedic, and he was. He did his job well. In the end, the person who showed how dominant he is EC3 messing up a Kurt Angle until that damn Willow comes in. Who the hell do you think he is? But this is what we're going to get probably next week on Sacrifice. Willow and Angle versus EC3 and Rockstar Spud. Either that's going to happen at Sacrifice or next week. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing them do this. In fact, I wouldn't be opposed to see Willow and Angle be in a tag team and EC3 and Rockstar Spud being a tag team. The reason I'm saying this is that we need tag teams. We have to give these guys more exposure. We don't have Bad Influence, who is the best tag team we had in quite a while. So we need to throw people together to see anything happens. So last thing I'm talking about is Magnus and the Abyss match. If the Abyss won, he's back on the roster. The opening of the show. Gotta say this, they tried, like I said in the beginning of this review, they tried to correct errors. Saying simply to Abyss by the Magnus himself that you don't work for MVP. Sorry, the weather's been making me sick. You don't work for MVP. You work for me. Which is true. He doesn't have a contract with TNA, so why in the fuck was he there anyway? It never made any sense, but I'm glad they did it because basically we really wanted Eric Young to win this. So they did try to correct that. And then trying to get Abyss back on the roster through a match at the end of the night was understandable. The match wasn't that great. It wasn't. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't that great. Let's be honest here. But in the end, with Eli watching a commentary, we get a disqualification from Magnus acting all hardcore, taking a... Well, first he kicks him in the nuts, I believe. And then essentially starts hitting the hell out of him, and I'm talking about the Abyss, with a chair. Eli comes down, he gets hit by a chair, and gets laid out alongside Abyss. And we're trying to make Magnus look really tough. I can understand them doing this for the simple reason Magnus has been a wimp for so long. You haven't really seen anything tough from him. So you don't want to go into Sacrifice with someone so weak that no one's going to believe that he even has a chance against Eli. But in the end, the problem here is that Magnus has been so badly promoted for so many months. I still don't believe it. I don't. So even if he wins the championship, I really don't care. And that's the problem here, ladies and gentlemen. Whoever wrote beforehand, if it was Hulk Hogan, if it was Garrett Bischoff's dad, Eric, if it was anyone else, they have destroyed Magnus so badly that at this moment, if he wins or loses, I really don't care that much. And that's sad because I really do like Magnus. He really had great potential to be something different for TNA, and then they destroyed him. As much as people say no one was going to believe AJ Styles could lose to him is not the point. The point is AJ wasn't going to stay. And you have to do something to make the guy you put the belt on look good, and that didn't happen. And after all these months, after so long that AJ's been gone, the problem I see is this. No matter what goes on going forward with Magnus, if he wins the title, which I think is dumb right now, they should not let Eli drop it yet, or if he loses, we're not really going to care that much about him, no matter if they keep showing him every week, because we have no interest in him. Unless they turn him back into a face, I just don't see anything good. Like I said, this wasn't a bad show, but they were trying to correct some errors. They gave us some good, interesting things. But I'm just going to say this. Going into Sacrifice, my interest is kind of so-so right now. But it doesn't mean I don't want to watch it. I could be surprised, and I'm hoping I will be. TNA is not known for caring about their pay-per-views anymore. They just, sometimes they hit, but most of the times they really miss. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane view. Please give me a comment below. And like I stated early in this review, which is more than 20 minutes, my leg doesn't do well when the weather acts really screwy. And I've been in a lot of pain with my leg and my back. So I do apologize. I will try to do my videos, but if I'm in a lot of pain, I just can't do them. I'm really sorry. You guys have a good evening. Peace out!